Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and good evening. Today, once again, we are going to talk about Pakistan-Afghanistan relations. As you know, that last week Pakistan and Afghanistan held discussions in Turkey. It was a series of discussions that were going on between the two countries. First in Qatar, then in Turkey, and then once again the date was decided the 6th of this month. But unfortunately, no result has come out. The reason being that Pakistan asked the Taliban regime in Kabul that they should stop allowing the terrorists, the various groups which are operating from Afghanistan, to use its soil against Pakistan. But the Taliban regime is not ready to give us in writing. Once again, the Turkish president announced that their defense minister, as well as the foreign minister and their intelligence chief, is visiting Pakistan in this current week to restart the diplomatic efforts to mediate and this standoff for the situation that the two countries are passing through. So I have a very prominent diplomat and a former Foreign Secretary of Pakistan, Mr. Izad Ahmed Chaudhry. Thank you very much, sir, for joining me. Please kindly tell me that how these diplomatic efforts, which are still going on, will help to end this, standoff between the two countries.
Thank you very much for having me on your program. I believe that Afghanistan is a neighboring country with deep cultural and other affinities between the two people. It is certainly very sad news and sad development that the Taliban regime in Afghanistan has chosen the path of hostility towards Pakistan by encouraging, providing space to the TTP terrorists to come to Pakistan, enter Pakistan, and shed Pakistani blood. Naturally, the people of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan are deeply concerned that this madness must stop, because we cannot allow the blood of Pakistanis being shed almost without any break. If you look at the past 4 years, the Taliban regime took over in August 2021. In the past 4 years, every year has been bloodier than the previous year. So obviously, we lost patience because we got to tell them to stop sending terrorists, or at least stop providing space to these terrorists. Now, this was not a very big ask, and yet the Taliban forgot all the kindness that Pakistan had shown to the people of Afghanistan and have chosen a path of belligerence. We are grateful to the diplomatic efforts made by our friendly countries of Turkiye and Qatar. They have done their best, but I believe that even if more efforts are continuing, the Taliban probably have a very different kind of mindset, which needs to be unpacked, needs to be understood as to what is going on in their minds and why are they doing something which is so unreal, so delusional. So that's the state we are in. Pakistan has not lost faith in diplomatic efforts, but I believe time is fast approaching when Pakistan might lose its faith in diplomatic efforts and might resort to self-defense, to which we are fully entitled. But let's give diplomacy as much chance as possible.
You being a seasoned diplomat yourself, sir, kindly tell me that why these Taliban, because this was the first time that they prolonged the discussions with Pakistan. Naturally, they had been holding a discussion with the Americans during the foreign forces in Afghanistan. But when the Pakistan was concerned, they used to be very close to Pakistan, and we have never seen such kind of a prolonging the discussion Do you see that there is a method in their madness and in their strategy? Because the three times that the talks, I mean, the periods I'm talking about, the three times of the period that these talks have been held between the two countries, and we have seen that they kept on, you know, diverting the actual issue to the other issues and mixing up so many things so that the actual issue is being somehow buried somewhere.
Yes, I do see a strategy there. I think they are prolonging these discussions because they are buying time. And they are buying time because they don't want to stop the TTP, which they consider as their brothers in ideology or ideological brothers. And they don't expect them to come around to seeing the reality. My sense is that they have developed an illusion that as if they captured Kabul by force by the dint of the gunpowder. I think they are totally and sadly mistaken. Americans were getting ready to withdraw from Afghanistan because there was a consensus within the American people that they don't want to be involved in distant wars. And then America also felt that because Pakistan is supporting Taliban, it may not be easy for them to defeat Taliban. So it is because of that. If America had decided not to withdraw from Afghanistan, if Pakistan was not supporting the Taliban, these Taliban would be still fighting and running around in the mountains of Afghanistan. So I think they have developed this a mistaken view that they have won Kabul by dint of gunpowder, and they think that they can do the same to Pakistan. I think they are sadly mistaken. They're even distorting the history by saying that we had defeated the British and then the Russians and the Americans. No, sir, you had not. The British, in the Second Anglo-Afghan War in 1878 to 1880 had completely defeated the Afghan, and after which Durand Line was established because the British wanted a buffer zone between the Russian Empire and the British Empire. And that's what happened. And Abdul Rahman Khan had accepted the Durand Line as the border. Even the Jirga on 13 November 1893 had accepted it. His son, Habibullah Khan, had accepted it in 1905. His grandson, King Amanullah Khan, accepted it twice in 1919, in 1921. And ever since, every successive government had done it. So my sense is that I tend to agree with you that they are finding extraneous issues like Durand Line, like defeating the empires, etc., to confuse to take the focus away from the main issue. What is the main issue? The main issue is that all Pakistan wants is that Afghanistan should not harbor terrorists on its territory, particularly TTP, because they are shedding Pakistani blood. Now, Pakistan's concern is shared by other neighbors because it is not just TTP that is finding sanctuary in Afghanistan. There is ETIM, there is IMU, there is ISIS-K, there is Al-Qaeda, and etc. So every country is now concerned. Every neighbor is now concerned. And my sense is that it will be important for Pakistan to reach out to all the neighbors of Afghanistan as well as other concerned powers to build a consensus, to build a diplomatic pressure on Taliban, because what they are doing is totally not acceptable neither to Pakistan nor to any other country.
Kindly tell me that you talk about buying the time. This strategy we have seen with Indians. The Indians, whenever they used to talk to Pakistan, they, instead of coming to the core issue of Kashmir, they used to drag the entire discussion somewhere else. And we have seen the buying time strategy by the Taliban, the same that was being followed by the Indians. So kindly throw a light on this issue, that do you think that it is the Indians which are in fact, maybe because of the elections, maybe there are certain social media. Today I was just going through it, there was some kind of a blast inside New Delhi, and I don't know what the Indians are going to the Modi government is going to blame Pakistan or doing something more than that in the future. But do you think that it is associated with the Indians? They are guiding the Taliban to follow this kind of a line,
Well, we do see Taliban picking a leaf or two from the Indian playbook. And increasingly, there are signs that India seems to be advising them because India has suffered a humiliating defeat in May 2025. They want to avenge that defeat. They have, they have accepted the Taliban regime as a friend only to open a second front against Pakistan. So all this actually tension started only when the Afghan Taliban, the minister was in New Delhi in India for talks, and that's how it all started. So clearly, the Taliban are working closely with the Indians and following their advice. There is a principle called "my enemy's enemy." I think it is that principle that they're following. But my sense is that this is a very big mistake, a strategic blunder by the Taliban. They don't realize that if they had ever any friend, it was Pakistan. Ever, ever. So if they had ever any friend, it was Pakistan. They should have respected that friendship. All Pakistan wanted was peace in Afghanistan. Did not support Taliban for the love of Taliban. No. We, after the Soviets had withdrawn from Afghanistan in 1988, the Mujahideen started infighting. And the fighting came so intense that the Taliban emerged on the scene. What Pakistan wanted was that, okay, if this force has come on the surface, let them establish peace, because we wanted a peaceful Afghanistan. That's the only thing that we wanted. But the Taliban have misunderstood the whole strategy that Pakistan had. Even India propagated, some non-existent issues like Pakistan was looking for a strategic depth, etc. We don't need a strategic depth. Pakistan is a powerful, independent country. Why would we need strategic depth in Afghanistan? So if somebody raised that issue, I don't know why. I think it's more of a propaganda. So the Taliban have to realize this thing, that they will be much better off coordinating with Pakistan, not only to end terrorism, but also to work together for common benefit. And Afghanistan can really become heart of Asia if Afghanistan want to stabilize it, have peace in it, and then allow it to become the regional hub that will give it much greater value for not only the people of Afghanistan but for the entire region.
The Taliban regime also spoke about, accusing Pakistan that they should not allow they shouldn't allow the Americans to use its space against Afghanistan, and they might be talking about, the Bagram air base, since there was certain news in the last couple of months that the Americans once again wants to come back. So all these, and then they also said that there are certain groups which are operating from Pakistan and they are destabilizing Afghanistan. For the first time we have heard about this destabilizing Afghanistan and groups going to Afghanistan from Pakistan. So all these, these points, do you think that it is only to divert the main core issue of the various groups that you have mentioned operating from Afghanistan, and they're not willing to stop them as well as give in writing to Pakistan?
I would think so. I think they are finding all kinds of excuses. Sometimes they would say, talk about Durand line, sometimes talk bringing in other factors. But the core issue is that Pakistan and Afghanistan are two independent states. We will respect Afghanistan's territorial integrity and sovereignty if they stop intruding into Pakistan and sending these terrorists. That is all we want. I think it's not a very big ask. My sense is that the Taliban, don't realize that it's not only Pakistan which is suffering from their attitude. In fact, the entire region is now concerned. China, Central Asian republics, even Iran. I would recall, I was just reading somewhere that in the first Taliban term in 1998, uh, they killed 11 intelligence officers of Iran in Mazar-e-Sharif, and Iran brought in troops on the border, and there was big tension. And at that time, also the Iranians were upset with Pakistan, also thinking that we were supporting the Taliban. So we have suffered so much because of the Taliban that the whole world has been sort of persuading Pakistan to weigh in on the Taliban. But we thought that maybe the Taliban would be the best people to bring peace in Afghanistan. And here we are stuck with these kind of people. They don't realize that they are putting their own future at stake. They're putting the future of the entire Afghan nation at stake. And Pakistan has suffered so much. We have suffered by way of giving them transit trade. All the goods coming to Afghanistan were actually dumped in Pakistan, and there was smuggling going on, causing injury to our industry, to our trade regime. They were getting choice treatments from our hospitals. They were getting benefit from our universities. They had all the benefits from Pakistan, and yet this is the kind of behavior that the people of Pakistan are finding it very, very hard
So
to understand.
sorry. So this
Yeah, go ahead.
indicates that the Taliban regime is not interested in the welfare of the Afghan people when they are doing all that, because this is also affecting their trade. The business community is suffering. The people are suffering in Afghanistan. And then another side question is that this government is not an inclusive government. There's no Tajiks, the Uzbeks, and even the Pashtuns are being ignored by the Taliban. They are not being included into this the process of governance, which was supposed to be a democratic and broad-based.
Yeah, I agree with you, because they had made firm commitments in the February 2020 agreement with the United States that there will be an inclusive government, but they have ignored Tajiks, Uzbeks, Hazaras, which make up about 60% of Afghanistan. 40% is Pashtuns. So I think they are ignoring this. They also are committed that they'll provide opportunities for girls to get educated and for women to work. But they are not honoring this commitment either. They committed that Afghan soil will not be used against US and other countries. But again, they are violating all these commitments. So it's, they have proven to be untrustworthy. And no nation respects untrustworthy people. And therefore, they are being, as I indicated to you earlier, they are putting the future of the entire Afghan people at stake, which they are not entitled to. They are not an elected government. They are not a representative government. They just came to power after Americans left. That's it. That's their only claim to be ruling Afghanistan. And if they were to change their track, there is so many initiatives. Pakistan and China were willing to extend China-Pakistan economic corridor to Afghanistan. That would have brought so much prosperity to Afghanistan. There is a TAPI project, so Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India gas pipeline project. There's a hydel energy that was to come from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. So there, Kasa 1000 it was called. So there are so many possibilities by which people of Afghanistan can benefit if the Taliban were to give up their rigid, their stubborn attitude of encouraging terrorism and using terrorism as an instrument of policy.
As you mentioned of the propaganda, they are also using the social media, which for the first time we have seen that the Taliban using this medium, this platform of social media against Pakistan, disseminating the fake news, not only among the Afghan people, but in the region as well. Do you think that passing such irresponsible statements on the social media by the Taliban government will harm the environment which is already being polluted by them?
Yes, I think so. I think there is so much of disinformation, and it's not just Taliban now resorting to this kind of tactics. Throughout the past 78 years, India has been using the information domain in Afghanistan to create misgivings about Pakistan, and that process is somehow continuing. And so there generations of Afghans have grown up who think that Pakistan, they don't feel good about Pakistan. That's a very very sad aspect. In fact, there is partly our fault also because we have also not focused so much on digital space, on creating a positive narrative. So as a result, this is highly misleading for the people of Afghanistan. This kind of propaganda campaign, because ultimately the people of Pakistan and people of Afghanistan have to live together like they have lived together for centuries. And it is so unfortunate that all kinds of disinformation is being bombarded on both the people to create a cleavage between them, to create gulf between them, to create hatred between them. I think that is not a service to the people of Pakistan or people of Afghanistan or the for the peace of the region.
Finally, please tell me that the provincial government in KP, they have a different view of the present situation. They say that we should talk to these people. I don't know. They are referring to, because with Afghanistan already, Pakistan, the government of Pakistan is holding discussions which are meaningless so far. Uh, and the other are the TTP or any other organization which is operating in KP or in Balochistan. So, and the way uh, elected CM, issues statements regarding security issues as well as the security forces, do you think that such kind of approach within the country, where we need a unanimity of views, and there should be a one voice against the terrorists and the terrorism, there are dissenting views which can naturally help the enemies to exploit all that?
To be honest, I couldn't hear your question very well because the voice was being gobbled. But can you repeat briefly again because I couldn't
My
hear it.
my my question was that the chief minister of KP has a different view about the ongoing situation. Uh, I mean, the intelligence-based operations which were being conducted by the security forces for last many years in KP. They say that we should be talking to them, and through dialogue we should resolve this issue. I don't know whether they are referring to the Afghan government or they are referring to the TTP. So Pakistan has categorically said that they are not going to talk to the terrorists, but they are talking to the Taliban regime, in fact, which is still brought no result. So what is your opinion? We need to have a one voice against this terrorism?
Absolutely. Though no two opinions about it. You see, the central government in Pakistan and the provincial government in KPK, they should be on the same page. You know why? Because at the end of the day, more blood of the people of KPK is being shed. The people of KPK are suffering more than the people of other provinces. Some people are suffering from in Balochistan, also in other provinces. But it is imperative that the entire people of Pakistan, uh, including from KPK, should speak with one voice. We can negotiate with the TTP, with the Taliban regime, which we are doing, and I think we should continue to do that. We should not close doors on diplomacy. I think the policy that India had followed for the nine and a half years of not talking to Pakistan is not a good policy. We should not follow that. We should talk to the Taliban regime. We should continue talking. We should also manage the border very well. But talking to the Taliban TTP, we have already done that. We have done that and we have seen that it did not work. So I am not in favor of talking to the TTP. I believe it has already been done and that path has been exhausted. And they are killers, they are assassins, they are assassinating our people. That's not something which is good. But yes, we should talk to the Taliban regime. We should tell them that we have to live together. Uh, that path, I think, should never be closed. But at the same time, we should be working on the border. We should make sure that nobody infiltrates from there into our border. And we should also persuade our people, living in the tribal areas, the erstwhile tribal areas, which is now part of KPK, that they'll be the best line of defense. They will be the first line of defense against. If they don't allow any space to the terrorists, to the TTP, then they just can't do anything. And therefore, cooperation of KPK government is absolutely imperative. I hope that they understand that beyond the politics, it is essentially the defense of Pakistan against terrorism coming in from Afghanistan. That is of the primary importance to all of us in Pakistan.
Secretary Azaz Ahmed Chaudhry, thank you very much for your precious time and your excellent input on this issue for our viewers. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you very much.